The Museum of Illusion is here, of course, to take us through, to give us just a theoretical view and perspective of what it's all about. And later on, maybe we'll get to see and interact with the games that are displayed at the Museum of Illusion. Karibu sana to TV47.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Yes.
Great. So let's just start from the very, very beginning. What exactly is the Museum of Illusion?
Yeah, so the Museum of Illusion is a fun and interactive space where families, people of different ages come for edutainment. So it has a mix of both. It has both education and also entertainment. So a unique space for sure, yeah.
So I'm looking at it and I see that the Museum of Illusion, this is something that is globally available but for Nairobi, the chapter is the first in East African and the third after Johannesburg and of course Cairo. So when was the Nairobi one launched?
Yeah, so we launched the Museum of Illusions in January 24th to be precise, and opened doors on 25th of January. So as you said, it's true that the museum is an international space. So it started in Croatia in 2015 and has soon spread across various locations. So we have over 60 locations worldwide. And yeah, as you said, it made its home in Nairobi in January, yeah.
So we're talking about Nairobi here, and you know, we have other cities. We have Eldoret, we have Nakuru, Kisumu, Mombasa. Why are you only centered in Nairobi?
A good question there. So Nairobi has a vibrancy that is unique actually as a city in Africa. So definitely the museum has potential to actually move to other cities in Kenya, but it's felt great and good to start here in Nairobi. Nairobi is cosmopolitan. It has everyone, every walk of life. It's vibrant. We have a lot of artists and just a vibrant scene in Nairobi, and Museum of Illusions plays perfectly into that. Yeah.
So basing from the global standards that have already been set aside, we talk about Croatia, Johannesburg, Nairobi now. So what are you doing differently from these other countries and cities? When we talk about in terms of what you're offering, what is different?
That's a good question, because the Museum of Illusion is a global innovation, but it's very important for it to also be local, sort of for us to feel like this is our own. So because of that, the Museum of Nairobi, Illusions Nairobi, has incorporated various local artists' work. So once you enter the museum, the first thing that you meet, which was also striking to me, is a very beautiful mural by Brian Omolo. And that's the first thing you see. And in this mural, it's like at the top post, like just after the ceiling. That's where you see it. And it has very African fabric. It has some images of young people in a very futuristic way. It plays into old and new buildings that form our cityscape here in Nairobi. Then we also have matatus, in that mural. So it's a very vibrant mural. And then we also have an exhibit called The Following Eyes. And this exhibit is by Lulu Kitololo, and she kind of transformed this African woman playing into a very elegant, sophisticated African woman. And the exhibit is called Following Eyes. So once you walk through the exhibit, it seems as if it's following you. So you find those are some of the things that have been made into the Museum of Illusions Nairobi to make it local. Yeah, I almost forgot. We also have like a reverse room, and it's purely Kenyan. So we had Moha, the king of matatu culture, do a matatu that is reversed. So it seems as if you're hanging upside down on a matatu. So you find the matatu industry in Kenya is very unique, trending also as something unique to see in Nairobi. So it's very Kenyan, it's very local, and that's what makes the Museum of Illusions special.
And you know, that brings me to the point of your target audience. If you're talking about the matatu culture, you know, a lot of students also come in there. So what exactly, who is your audience?
That's a good question again. I would say the Museum of Illusions is special and unique in the sense that it caters across all ages. So it sparks imagination both for the children and the old as well. So you find that it's difficult to find a place where everyone is sort of inspired once you get to do an experience or an activity, and the museum is one of those. Few, I must say. So you find that we've had children on, you know, who are being carried, coming to the museum with their families. We've had teenagers, we've had couples, we've had people bringing in their parents, so it caters across all ages, and that's what makes it special. Yeah.
I've seen something on the screen. It looks like something quite shaky. You know, those things with the box. And you know, some illusions seem physically disorienting, and we know we have people who are easily triggered with, say, images that are disorienting, rather. So how do you ensure safety and just that people won't get these triggers when they are there at the Museum of Illusions?
Yes. So once you walk into the museum, we have a very good customer experience where guests are able to ask questions. What can we find? And this is actually what we get from most of our emails and just phone conversations when people call to inquire. And we've had indeed people asking if someone has special needs, is this an activity for them? So we have a mix of both. We have exhibits that could seem to trigger because they're all photo illusions, but we have safe exhibits. For example, our brain gym, which is a whole room with games, and there are dilemma games there. So you find this place, it's less, I would say, there are less such exhibits to say that it's a safe place. It challenges the mind, when you play these games. And also in the museum, there are places where it's just mirrors and they wouldn't harm someone. So it's good for people with such needs to just talk about them, like ask which ones are safe, which ones are not safe. We've had people do pre-visits before they come to the museum. Parents come in first, checking it out before bringing kids. Groups, especially when it comes to schools. Schools sometimes come and do a pre-visit. We have special needs schools coming to the museum, and it's always nice to ask and come and assess, because I believe the caregivers are best placed to know what would affect the person who has a need.
Interesting. Now, of course, Nairobi is, you know, a home for very many entertainment, sports. We have a lot of museums as well, places to visit in Nairobi. And they're talking about the Museum of Illusions being centered at the moment in the capital city. So what would make somebody from Kisumu, Mombasa, Wajir, those, you know, far-flung areas to come and, you know, have a look at the Nairobi of Illusions and say, no, today we're not going to Huru Park, we're not going to go to the normal museum or cinemas as we've seen over the years. What would make somebody leave their home from their county to come to the Museum of Illusions?
I'd say, interestingly, we've had people come all the way from Eldoret schools, just people inquiring, like they have a day in Nairobi, they have come for work, and they have some, you know, hours to spare, and they come to the museum. What I would say is we've seen so many people combine the museum with other experiences in Nairobi. The museum tour takes around an average of 1.5 hours. So if you have more time to spare, why not visit other places? But I would say the unique thing about this museum is, one, it's global. If you don't go to the one in Kenya, you have to go all the way to maybe Cairo, as you said, Johannesburg, Cape Town, to visit the rest. And you find that it's something that is on the bucket list for most people. It's fun, it's mind-blowing, it's something unique that most people haven't seen. So it ultimately becomes a go-to spot for sure, yeah.
So what will you want somebody coming, you know, for the very first time at the museum to walk out with? You know, they're there for the very first time, just to feel that experience. Or maybe somebody who has gone to the one at Johannesburg, the one at Croatia, the one at Cairo, now they want to just have a feel of how the Nairobi ones is. What would you want us to walk out with when we come to the museum?
Yeah, so we have a slogan in the museum that you walk in and leave with a smile. We've had testimonials from guests that, wow, I was maybe just after work and I came and felt so much relief from pressure. You know, sometimes work tends to be hard, and it's a place where you kind of leave your troubles at the door and you come and just focus on what you're seeing, how you're feeling, and such things. I would say to those people who have tried other museums, this one is unique. The people you meet when you're doing your tour, the smiles you hear, the awkward moments, for some people, that makes it unique. And as a people and as a culture, we are different. Kenyans bring their own vibe, you know, to spaces and all that. And I would say the different exhibits that are unique to us are definitely something to look out for. Yeah.
So how about, say, those with social anxiety? And I don't want to, let's not go there, but we might. Lakini now, I'm thinking about if there are a lot of people at the museum. Now, how does somebody get to have a personal experience and feel of the museum, you know, without that, you know, bumping into one another and overcrowding? How do you deal with that?
Yes, I believe there are different kinds of people, right? There are people who want to go to a place and meet other people, like have a shared experience. And there are people who want just like a quiet, solo kind of adventure. And the museum caters for that, because you find most people are free during holidays and weekends, and that's when it's more vibrant at the museum. Like you tend to find the families, the different people just touring. However, weekdays, I would say, and evenings, also weekends on the evenings and mornings, it tends to be a bit quiet. And this, if you want that kind of personalized, as you said, more quiet tour, then the weekdays, both morning, during the day, in the evening, and also weekends, morning and evening would be perfect for those kind of people. Yeah.
We'll get into the pricing later on, but just to mention, when somebody is going for that personalized experience and tour, does the price differ from, you know, when you're coming in the weekend and when you're coming during the week?
We have a standard price for all days, so it doesn't matter whether you come weekday, whether you come on a Sunday night, it's all the same price. Yeah.
I should have asked you this question at the very beginning. So what inspired the Museum of Illusion?
That's a good question. I believe the people who came up with a vision for the Museum of Illusions wanted a mix of both education and entertainment, where you have people's imagination being sparked. And we kind of lack that in most spaces, right? You find that for you to get to a place where it's both inspiring, for example, you want to play into the creativity side of things. You want both. We're also living in a digital age, remember. A long time ago, you would find when people used to go to parks, they would take photos. You could only probably get 2 or 3 you know, those old age photos, but right now people want to take memories with them. People want to experience things together, and I believe this was the vision behind the museum. Yeah.
So you described the museum as edutainment, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So how exactly does the museum educate? You know, at first glance, it gives more of a, you know, a fun place to be, where it's quite playful. So how does that educational aspect coming into play?
Yeah, so we have some exhibits that clearly offer education aspects. For example, we have something like the Gastro Illusion, where it's all about angles. You find one line is longer than the other when you perceive it just with your own eyes. But upon, you know, further looking, they tend to be the same. So wondering how that came to be basically. We also have a lot of mirrors, just knowing how mirrors tend to work and all that. I think for the curious mind, you find especially with kids, they have so many questions to ask.
So what are some of these questions that maybe kids were coming to explore? Or, and the August holidays are also just around the corner, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of them coming. But what are some of these questions that they're asking when they come there?
Yeah, so some of the questions, and kids tend to be the most funny and creative and very honest people.
Right.
So some of the questions they'll be like, they'll be asking is, how come there's so many people? As in, how come I'm seeing so many of us?
Yeah.
And you find like one of the exhibits, which is the infinity room. Once you tend to lock yourself, sort of close the door, you don't know where the door is. So someone is like quite coming through because it's all mirrors, and those are the things that kids tend to wonder about. So you find we have something called also like a spiral circle, and it seems as if the circles are overlapping each other. So it tends to make your mind wonder, how is this possible? How are they achieving this? You know, and in that way, I think kids tend to look beyond their learning environments. They tend to want to be innovative and creative, which is something that we would like to achieve with this current age, where it's a lot of screens and a lot of, for sure.
Makes sense. And still on that aspect of education, maybe are you working with the schools and programs to ensure that even as much as you want to edutain, that schools are incorporating the things that they see at the Museum of Illusion, and just topics like, say, physics, mathematics. We see psychology also in some schools now that we have CBE. So are you working with the schools to incorporate Museum of Illusions as a learning platform for these students?
Yes, that's something that we are doing. You find that the Museum of Illusions is perfect for all curriculums, actually. So we've had different schools come to the museum, and we also have like a program that schools can also take, maybe before visiting the museum and after visiting the museum, to sort of digest what the students have learned. So it's true that the museum is perfect for children and school kids.
How are these schools reception so far? How is the reception? Because say they're bringing these kids to, for tour, just a tour of the museum. How are these schools reacting to it?
So we've had quite a good reception, I must say, from schools, and you find that weekdays always work best for most schools. So you find mornings are good for just because they're a bit quiet. Kids get to find just get to be with themselves, just without other guests, rather than weekends. So you find mornings have been great, and we've had quite a number of schools, to be honest, coming, and it's different. So for example, you find there are schools which have brought kids when maybe it's a club activity, maybe it's an art club, a science club, but then we also have schools that come as they are doing a Nairobi itinerary and they are going to different places, they add the Museum of Illusions to that itinerary.
And we're talking about a school, and somebody may wonder, how big is the Museum of Illusion? Talk to us about that.
So the Museum of Illusions is quite spacious. We are able to host 150 guests at a time. So no need to worry. We've hosted 160 students at a time. It's just that we normally need extra guides to take the children through, and that's something we are able to organize.
If we're talking about children being so curious every time they're at the museum, how are adults reacting to it? Sometimes they say somebody's just a girl, somebody's just a little guy who wants to live life again as much as they've grown. But how are we reacting to it when we as adults come there?
So I had a funny I would say testimonial just the other day, where a guest said, this place is so interesting, we are fighting for spots with kids. So you find parents are like, take me this photo, and you find if they're with kids, the kids also help in taking the photos, so it's a shared moment. When it's adults having like their quiet date night or just group activity, you tend to hear the laughs, the high fives, and the wow moments, you know, and it's a place where I would honestly say it's also nice to work, because it's just joy and all that. Yeah.
Talk to us about some of these local names behind the artwork. You know, I know you mentioned quite a few, but which Kenyan artists exactly or creatives inspired these, and have they been there to, you know, to give some signing? You know, Namtuakenda Mahali, these I was here, those signings.
Yeah.
Who are these, and how have they, you know, just inspired that creativity behind the artwork to the museum?
Yeah, so I would say, like, for example, what I mentioned before, the Nairobi mural that was done by Brian Omolo. I think for him, his inspiration was his growing up, going to Masai Market. You know, these things that have made Nairobi so unique, those are the things that inspired him. Lulu Kitololo, on the other hand, she's quite an amazing artist. And the fact that she's also a woman and playing into that, like the modern African woman, still retaining our authenticity as a culture. That is what she sort of used to play into it. While they haven't come in the recent times, during the opening, they were there just to see how people were receiving the inspiration behind the exhibits and all that. But in the future, we are looking toward hosting artists at the museum. Basically something like a guest illusionist in a certain month, just to also support other talents that we have in Nairobi. So exhibiting their work as well, and people get to see how they sort of interpret our product and their product and how the two can merge. So it's something that we're looking forward to for sure. Yeah.
Even as you're looking forward to making that museum, you know, a place where artists can come and, you know, just put up their artistic work out there, are you looking forward to also incorporating others? You know, you're saying that Brian Omolo, the ones who've come there and drawn their, you know, their vision and bring them to life, but are you giving room for other artists as well to come in and say somebody like Bien, just an example, to come and also just write something there or just put up their vision to the museum?
Yeah, for sure, these are collaborations that we are seeking for in the future. And I think our reverse room, the Matatu exhibit, is quite an interactive space, and we are looking into transforming it, maybe after every year, and it looking different and having someone else's imagination and inspiration just there.
Let's shift to how you market such a unique place. What has worked for you so far to just, you know, market the Museum of Illusion for people who, you know, are not in Nairobi, people who are hearing about it for the very first time?
So we've had a lot of organic marketing. So many people have come to the museum, and that gives us a lot of user-generated content. So you find for someone to sort of give you like a review and actually post on their social media and say, wow, refers other people in their community, that has been unique and special to us. So we find like big creators come in as well, paying. We actually don't know them. You're just walking in the museum and you bump into someone and you're like, oh, this person is here. And it's actually a unique thing with the museum. So you find that that has also worked, like word of mouth, people just talking about us, posting about us to their community. Yeah.
And I understand that you're also cashless. I'm just looking at it and I'm seeing you're going card and M-Pesa payment. Has going fully digital been a boost to the business, or is it quite a challenge for you?
Yeah, I would say going digital has played into already what is happening in Kenya. Kenya is the one place where you hear people saying, if you don't have a charger, you might not get your next Uber, because we are all, I would say, only a few times where you find yourself carrying cash. So this has actually helped people, given that we have M-Pesa as an option for payment. It has become easier for our guests to actually pay, because you find that sometimes with cash, there's an issue of getting some change and all that. So it's actually been easier for our guests to pay. Yeah.
Interesting. And for you as the content and marketing director at the museum, how has it been easier for you now that you say we are in a digital age where you see a lot of influencers coming there just to, market that place organically, not necessarily being paid to promote it? Has it made your work easier, in terms of just drawing the traffic, as opposed to, say, if they were not coming there instead? Because you understand that with these influencers, they have their numbers. So for you, has it made your work easier?
Yeah, in that sense, it has made it easier, but there's so much to explore when it comes to such a unique place. So for example, we want this place to be your go-to spot for events and such like activities. So you find that we have now to be more imaginative, more to do a bit of research on what other spaces are doing globally as well, to just see what we can do and transform this space into. So for example, April, we had an Easter egg hunt at the museum. So this was something special that brought families to the museum. So you find that by hosting game nights, by hosting these creative talks, you find that we are also pulling in a crowd for them to feel like they're part of, they belong. So that's something that we are now focusing on, because you can't just focus on digital, you have to create a story. People connect to stories more. Yeah.
And when you talk about corporates as well, we've heard about corporates shifting from the cultural, gardens, the ones that you're used to, team building, now to the Museum of Illusions. And somebody may wonder, is there food? Because we know sometimes with these team buildings, there are food, people cook, they bond, you mentioned about games. So why do you think corporates are going the Museum of Illusions way? What makes it such a sport for corporates?
Yeah, so we are not just an event space, we are experiential. And you find that this, I would say the market now is gearing towards that. Something, people want to do things together. They don't want just to, do the same old things. And you find the museum offers that. So for the corporates, it's been an interesting thing to just watch. For example, there's a company that brought their whole stuff. They had slotted in days. They want these people come, and over 40 groups of over 40 people. And you find that when they are walking through at the exhibits, it's different. Conversations are started when they're taking the photos and doing all that, which actually led us to developing a corporate team building program, which we are doing in association with another company called River Tree. So this is now more specialized, and it's unique in the sense that when companies and teams come in, they get to go through the exhibits and play into the exhibits, what the exhibits communicate, and they're able to share that as a team and do other stuff. So you mentioned food. The museum normally takes 2 hours, but you find for these groups, it tends to get a bit longer. So we've, depending on what the company wants, we are able to tailor make an experience. We have partnerships with other people that would allow us to provide the food and all that. But you find most people, when they come for the team building activity, they proceed to go and have their lunch elsewhere. That's the case that we've had. Yeah.
So when you talk about 2 hours at the museum, what about people who want to extend that stay, say for morning till evening, just to explore, just be there? What happens to those people who want to stay longer?
We've had now the opposite happening. People coming and saying, oh my God, I didn't know it would take so long. They thought it to be as, just go in, come out, and then they end up spending, the 2 hours, and they're tired. They've been walking around, I would say their good feeling hormone has been spiked up. So they're like, what? I need to take a break or something, So you find that during evenings, weekdays, Sundays, people get to stay longer because it's more chilled and all that. So we have a mix of both. People want to come longer, and they come during the weekdays, and weekends during the evenings, and whereby we have people who are like, okay, had enough. I need now to go and find food. Yeah, so we've had a mix of both. Yeah.
Talk to us about the pricing, you know, for adults, these students who come in. If you have a group tickets as well, group pricing, how do you price it? And I'm also interested to know if people who want to, if you're talking about 2 hours being the standard amount of time, for people who stay longer, does that price increase?
Yeah, so for people, let me start there. For people who stay longer, the price doesn't increase. So for example, you find, especially with groups, they're taking more photos, they're having their own moments, bonding, so they would take longer, but the price doesn't increase. So for adults, the ticket price is 1,500 Kenya shillings, and that's both for residents and non-residents. We have one standard price. For your teenagers and students who have a valid student ID, it's 1,100 Kenya shillings. For kids under 12, it's 900 Kenya shillings, and for kids under 3, it's free. So we have a family package that goes for 3,900, and that's for 2 adults and 2 kids. So if a group is larger, they tend to pay their family package and add. So they still get a good discount in that way. Yeah.
And you know, I imagine the location in Parklands was quite, you know, strategic. So how did you choose that spot? Why Parklands?
Yeah, why Parklands? I think it's a mix of both, where it was a perfect spot, and it was what we saw and envisioned would be the right place for the museum. It also played into the whole Museum Hill Road. So we have the National Museum, then we also have us, the Museum of Illusions. So it was like fate coming together and us finding the perfect spot. Yeah.
Has it lived up to your expectations when you say it's one in line with the Nairobi Museum, and people just leaving, say we want to leave that wildlife culture and just come to the Museum of Illusion? Has it lived up to your expectations?
Yeah, the space is quite unique. The building as well, it's a modern building, if I may say. And then we also have ample parking space, which is something that Nairobi kind of, most spaces kind of struggle with. And it's not also a paid parking space. So you find our guests find that to be unique, that you can come, find a place to leave your car, and it's safe, it's guarded. And also the museum also is interesting in itself, in the sense that the building looks nice and everything around it. Yeah, so it's a very interesting space for sure.
6 months in Mercy, how do you measure your success, or maybe return on investment? You know, you've talked about schools being there, corporates being there, just adults, people coming to have fun, these kids coming to explore. So how have you measured, or how do you measure your success from when you started in January? Yeah.
So the way we measure our success is the stories that we hear and have read about. And one interesting thing is we recently launched our CSR initiative, where we want to host every week, if possible, a school from a low socioeconomic background. And we hosted one for sure as we speak, and they kind of wrote feedback. They had some essays that they wrote, and it was so heartwarming to just hear what the kids wrote, the way they described their trip to Nairobi and to the Museum of Illusions, and saying they saw things that they didn't think existed. One special illusion or exhibit that most kids were writing about was the head on a platter. Growing up as, if one is a millennial, you had your traditional, I would say, pop-up agricultural shows that we would go to, and you'd find magicians and all this. So it's kind of bringing that vibe back, but now futuristic. So you find kids saying, oh my God, we saw this. It was great seeing the mirrors and all that. And with our CSR initiative, what we are looking toward is inviting organizations, because we find that most organizations have this as something they're doing. They want to inspire the next generation into becoming creative and innovative people. So if you get to partner with us, we will be able to match every donation, every sponsorship with tickets, and yeah, inspire these young minds and hear the echoes and laughter, and yeah, that has been so heartwarming. So that's one way we are measuring success. The other way is the transformation that we are bringing into this digital space in terms of, we know mental health is an issue right now, and when we come and hear people laughing, people just being themselves in that sense, people saying that we bonded over this, you know. So that experience is how we measure success as an organization, for sure. Yeah.
And when you talk about partnerships, who are you partnering with so far? Talk to us about the brands and how they're responding to this, and you know, and how do you want these partnerships to look like exactly? You know, when they come on board at the Museum of Illusions, what are they bringing to the table, and what are you also offering them to just, you know, ensure that your partnership is successful to both you and the partners as well?
Yeah, so we've reached out to a couple of organizations. One organization, we are their clients in the finance sector, and they believe that, you know, strong partners, when they come together, they can achieve so much. And I believe the Museum of Illusions being a very interesting and unique concept, the one and only in Nairobi, most people want to work with us. So there are various ways you could partner with us, and as I mentioned, we have our CSR initiative where organizations can donate to just bring children, schools, even if you're working with, you know, mothers, and it caters for everyone, and bringing them to the museum just to, it does something when you're living in a certain environment and you get a change and you get to see, oh, there's so much innovation going on. So that's one way. The other way is having shows and talks, I would say, at the museum where innovation is talked about. So we've had an organization coming to the museum and hosting sort of an award for their, I would say, their staff and appreciating them. So that's where we offer such an environment that would spark such conversations. We also have now the corporate team building. Because people, when they work together, they get tired. You know, sometimes you find there are months where there's a season where you've been so busy as an organization. How do you get to, you know, treat your staff? How do you get to tell them, you know, well done for the good work that you've put in, and all that? So corporates and organizations can bring their staff just to relax, to explore the museum, and sort of, you know, have a time where it's not only focused about work. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people go in there for pictures. What do you think we should be paying more attention to? You know, not just the photos, but we come there and we leave with something educational or something that we can remember aside from the photos.
Yeah, I think what we can carry with us is the transformation that is happening not only in Nairobi, but also in our lives. So you tend to see that when you find something new, when you find something that is sparking imagination, how then can you also bring that to your own life? You know, asking yourself questions. We have an exhibit called the Clone Room, and people tend to say it's a place where you can have a meeting with yourself, and you find the photos, there should be something more to the photos, like what am I seen from this experience, that maybe life is worth celebrating, life is worth giving a chance. There's more to life, you know, than what we perceive and see. Yeah.
Now, Mercy, you promised you're going to come with some games for us to, you know, play and also give our viewers a feel of what we can find at the Museum of Illusion. Even as we wait for, as we expect Elvis, the illusion expert there, talk to us about the dilemma games and what they do exactly to the mind. And you know, what how the feeling after playing these games.
So we had a guest, let me just say this as an example. We had a guest who came in and didn't want help in solving a game and was like, I need to come back and try this again. So you find the games allow you to look at problem solving. How are you able to solve these challenges that come your way? We have tricks to some of these games. So you find that perhaps all you needed was a trick to a challenge that you are having. And this game sort of also builds resilience and, you know, patience, even for children. When they're able to sit for 20 minutes straight, focusing on one activity, that tends to be a unique thing for the kids. And also for the adults. I mean, we now are onto TikTok, short videos. Our concentration span has reduced. So this tends to be something interesting that someone can just focus on, and, you know, and you feel a sense of accomplishment when you've solved a challenge. And that tends to go into your good hormones and you feel nice about it.
Right, interesting. Sure. So maybe you can just call in Elvis. You can just walk in, Elvis. Don't be scared, we're not eating you.
You can come here.
These are the dilemma games, right?
Yes, some of the dilemma games we have.
What is that?
So this first game, we call it Lord of the Rings. So let me just unwrap it. Put it out inside.
Mercy, what is that? Oh,
another game, Mission Impossible is the name.
Mission Impossible.
Yes.
I call it a building game because it's cubes, but it's Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Right. So this is the setup. So just from the name, Lord of the Rings, comes from this ring now. So the aim or the goal of the game is to get this ring off this full setup. And you see it's not really possible because it can't come off this way. So now that it's a dilemma game, you have to think outside the box and engage your mind and engage your brain and figure out a way of getting this ring off.
Does it come out?
Yeah, it does come out.
Okay.
It does come out.
So you start and then I do.
No, I'd want to see you try.
All right.
I want to see you give a try.
All right. Let's see due to the interest of time. Oh, this one. This is the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
Okay.
Right.
Hey. Yeah, man. I understand that a lot of attention has to go into it, yeah?
Yeah.
Mercy, can you do that?
Yeah, I can actually do that.
At first take?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, she learned from the best.
Clearly, I can't do it.
So everything, the setup of the game, of how it is, everything over here is actually, you know, a hint of what you can do with the game. So try play around this space over here. Try play around with this. Try also play around with these balls as well. So maybe the first step would be to get this piece through this space over here. Then pull the ring up. Over here. Yes. Then we now have our last move on that one. Where could the ring go through? Where could the ring pass? Where can the ring go through?
Again?
Yeah, the ring. We have a space somewhere where the ring can pass through.
But does it? Ah,
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Job.
All right, that is the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like that, and just like that, the ring is off. Now to put it back, you just do the reverse of what you did.
Okay.
So like you'd start with this one, put it back, then through the space, and up and over, then this piece goes through, and the ring is back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would recommend.
It's a good one.
All right.
Yeah.
How about the other one?
Oh, the mjengo. So the best way to fix the mjengo or the Mission Impossible game is to first arrange them like this, like have similar pieces together like this. Then see we have small ones, the wider ones and the long ones. So the first move would be to put this one somewhere just over here.
For it to fit?
Yes, that way. Then try fill up this space down here.
All right.
Like just with one. One is enough.
One. Okay.
Then you do the same, but on the other side. So you do this one, but vertically now, lay it down, like this. There.
Okay.
Yeah. So these tiny or these small pieces need to align in a diagonal kind of manner.
Okay, this
So
way.
they act like they form a ladder over here, or staircase. So our next move would be to put a slightly shorter piece than this. So from these three, which one would you? Slightly shorter. Over here, slightly shorter.
Or slightly shorter
yeah,
here,
so
all right.
This one, right? Yes. Then again, slightly shorter than this.
This.
No.
Actually,
Shorter
you had it right.
over here.
This one?
You know, this one, but now this way.
This way?
Yeah. You see how engaging it is with the brain? Now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we don't.
What are we making?
We're making a block, such a block.
Ah, it should look like this.
It should look like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need to fill up this space as well. Yeah. Nice. Correct.
Interesting.
Now comes in the aspect of the small ones, forming like placing them on a diagonal kind of manner over here. So correct. Yes. And the next one would be right there.
That
correct. Way? Yeah. But now closer to this one.
Okay.
Then
up here.
Yeah. Correct. Then the last one. Up there. Yes. So once you're there, this makes the highest point of the block. So you can't have any other piece that's higher than that. So let's see how you figure out on whatever piece to put over here. So once you get to this point, it's actually a trapeze. You keep trying until all the pieces fit.
Until it makes sense, eh?
Yeah, until it makes sense. There you go.
That way?
Nice. Yeah.
Ah, first learner.
Yeah.
I'm not jinxing it.
Okay. Try fill up this space over here as well.
This way?
Yes.
Yeah.
The small ones are over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
Where else? Up here?
Yeah. So you can turn it and let it face you like this.
Ah, okay.
And
Is that correct?
maybe, yeah, it's the right piece, but you have to put it in a different kind of way.
This way?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then finally here?
There's that space.
Not
over
finally, but
there. Yeah. There. There you go. Nice. So we only have 3 pieces remaining.
okay. Let's see. Nah.
No.
That way?
No. This is the highest point of the block.
Ah, okay.
That way. Correct. Yes. There you go.
And here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yay!
Good job. And now once you're done, you can now fit.
All right.
Yeah. Like that.
Do people get it that fast?
Not
You're
really.
special.
I'm As we wind up,
Yes.
what is the mission of the Museum of Illusion? Yes, and what do you intend to achieve? I don't know how you're going to measure it. You know, usually we say in the next 5 years, in the next, but in the next 2 years, how do you want the Museum of Illusion to look like? What do you want to have achieved by then?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we aim to achieve is what the museum is all about, to spark imagination, to spark creativity and problem solving in this current age. And we want it to become the go-to spot for families and even have return visitors, because we've seen that a lot. We've seen where our clients, when you come with maybe your kids, but then you can come back again with your chama, you can come back again with your, workers or colleagues, and have this as something that when you think of Nairobi's most creative space, what comes to mind should be Museum of Illusions. That's what we want to achieve in the next coming years. Yeah. And it being also, as you said, someone coming all the way from Mombasa, and they know that they want to come to the museum. We've also had a reach in East Africa, whereby like a few weeks ago, we had some nuns come in, and we asked them, oh, how did you hear about us? Apparently they're from Uganda, and they had come for a program here in Kenya and in Kahawa, and they told the Catholic entity that they wanted to come to the museum. So you find that we've had Tanzanians coming, Ugandans coming, and we want this to be a shared space in terms of creativity with also our neighboring countries. Yeah.
Finally, what is that upcoming event? Talk to us about it.
Yeah.
It's in 2 days' time, about mental health. Is it? Talk to us about it.
Yeah. So it's actually mentalism, not mental health.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a very unique concept coming up on Thursday, from this Thursday, 31st of July, from 7 to 9 p.m. We'll have a unique event showcasing different magicians. The person who will be sort of headlining is called Musao. He's a mentalist, and the vision he has for the event is something similar to the Magic Castle in LA, and he's bringing together all these creative magicians from different scopes of life and doing different things to sort of intertwine our illusions and their creativity and performance. So the tickets are going for 3,750. You can go to our website and our Instagram landing pages to see the tickets and how to get them. Yeah.
So basically just about mind reading. Thank you so much, Mercy Wakio, for making time. That is the Content and Marketing Director at the Museum of Illusions, and Elvis Njoroge, an illusion expert. Thank you for making time and for giving us that theoretical view and of course a feel of how the games would feel like if at all we come there. Thank you so much for watching. That brings us to the end of this segment. You're watching Morning Cafe. My name is Anne Odida. Stay with us.